All right. Well, let me say hello and welcome to another weekly edition of Happy Hour with the Lincoln. Good to be back. Good to virtually see each and every one of you. And on that note, let me give you the cheers. Hope you guys are doing good out there. This is where week by week I'll do my best to answer all of your stock market related questions. So if you guys out there have questions that you think would benefit the trading community, send them over here to support@thelincolnlist.com. I also sometimes tell some stories. I apologize ahead of time as I have a tendency to rant, but it's all in good fun, right? Now, the only announcement I have before we get started is I talked about this last week is the new upcoming mini camp. It's going to be the last one I'm doing of this year and the last of its kind. Now, what I mean is that, first of all, mini camp is the premier course at the Lincoln List. It has live classes where it's an instructional format where you're learning live. It's not a pre-recorded course or anything like that. You get a copy of the Trading as an Art DVD for free, not the rock solid, the Trading as an Art DVD, access to all past mini camp recordings. And something I'm doing this time around, and only this time around, is I'm offering 1 hour of free private training to each person that enrolls. I won't be offering that anymore, at least not that part. And I have an idea about switching some of the educational content around at the beginning of the year and stuff like that, updating the website and such. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'm going to post a link. Now, I'm also going to post a link there because we did a webinar on this Thursday. It has a nice turnout, had a little bit of overflow. So I'm going to do another one on Tuesday. This is a live webinar and it's not available for replay. So if that's something that you're interested in, there's the link to go ahead and register, or you can check it out on the Minicamp website. So here's what we're going to talk about today. Allow me to swig if you don't mind. We're going to talk about the Q word, not questions. Quitting. We're going to talk about that quitting word because everybody, I don't care who it is, even Warren Buffett, everybody's thought about it just for a second. Thought about quitting. Do I belong here? Is trading for me? Do I have what it takes to become professional, successful, wealthy beyond my dreams? Am I made for this? Or am I a square peg in a round hole? What is it? So here's the question that I got. Doug, you talk so much about the times when you struggled. Did you ever think about quitting, or how close did you come to giving up? I know you went a long time with no profits. I'm in a very similar situation where I've been losing money for a while. I cannot seem to move forward. I'm wondering if this is not for me. Any help would be appreciative. Well, some of you might already know the answer to this. How close did I come to quitting? Oh, really close. So close I actually quit. Yeah, I did quit. So briefly, the story with me is I started in 1999. I had some short-term success as a trader, but as most of you know, or anybody that knows anything about market history, in 2001, the dot-com went kapoof, and so did my account. And this kind of was a gradual process throughout the summer of '01 into the fall. And pretty much by October, I was penniless. Now, when I say penniless, I had no more trading account. I had a couple of bucks left in the bank, which was just for survival purposes only. So my trading account was gone. It was practically at zero. So I was kind of forced into quitting. I was also so pissed off from losing that kind of money, for being so stupid, for being so, unprepared. Just, I had so much anger, and it's understandable, right? So much anger. That's one of the reasons why I talk about my struggling point. I mean, I know what that tastes like. It's still right there on the lips. Like, I know. So I was forced out. I quit. And at that time, I swore I would never put another penny of my money in the stock market. And I wished every night when I went to bed, I would pray to the powers that be, please burn the stock market down. Please close it forever. Pass a law banning stocks. A lot of hatred, for sure. A lot of hatred. So I was kind of forced out. Now, about a year after that, year and a half, when the pain started to wear off a little bit, I started to come back and think about it. So let's kind of talk about this in different segments, because when someone's looking at quitting, they could be at different crossroads in their life. We're going to go from the worst to the better. And what I mean by that is maybe you're somebody that's looking at that because you are absolutely at an emotional low point, which is the worst point to be. Or maybe you're kind of in that middle ground there where you kind of done pretty good, but you're not getting anywhere, and you're debating as to whether or not you're wasting your time. You haven't decimated yourself. You're not in any financial jeopardy, but you just really are depressed because you expected to be successful. You want to be successful, but you got beat up a little bit. Understandable. And maybe you're somebody that can kind of do this here for a living and you're just not getting there either. So we'll go from the worst up the ladder here. This is where I was. And this is a tough spot to be in when you have either lost largely on a trade and wiped out many, many months of great work, or you have decimated an account, or you just have fallen apart like that. That's tough because you are psychologically broken. And this can happen in the trading business. You know, you hear things like PTSD, you think that's for like serious issues, but trading is a serious. There are people that have PTSD from trading, that have psychological damage. I mean, you know, in market crashes, you've heard stories of people jumping out of windows. So losing a lot of money is not a pleasant experience, and it has led some people to be suicidal. This is a serious thing. So when you're that broken and you're that damaged, you need to step back. Now, when you say the word quit, that doesn't mean you necessarily have to quit for the rest of your life. A trader saying they quit is sort of like an athlete saying, I'm retiring. It's like, yeah, I'm retiring, but I'll be back next year. You know, you can always come back. The market's going to be open forever. But sometimes you have to do that. Now, for me, I was forced out because I didn't have an account. But in hindsight, it was the very best thing that ever happened to me because I was so emotionally destroyed at that point. There was no way I could trade. If somebody would have handed me $100,000, I would have lost it in a month. I wasn't psychologically prepared to trade. And that's what you have to understand. At that point, you have such psychological damage to yourself, you're not going to be thinking clearly. You're not going to want to hold positions. Anytime your account gets slightly in the red, you're going to lead to panic and all kinds of other issues. You're just not there. And it's okay. We all kind of enter a spot like that at one point in our career. And the best thing to do is step back. Now, if you kind of find yourself in maybe not that far off, but you're somebody that had some moderate success with your trading, but you sort of kind of have the psychological games played on you where you're like, oh, I think I got this. I've been doing good for the last 3 months. And then all of a sudden you get smoked 1 month and there it goes. And you're like, damn, I got to do that again. And you do it again. And you come back and you do it again. You come back. You're like a break-even trader. You're just in this cycle of like, man, I can't get ahead. It's the same thing. You're not psychologically destroyed, though, because you haven't decimated yourself, but you're frustrated. And you're starting to see that maybe you're not going to make it because you can't sit here and have 3 good months, 4 good months, and constantly think that you're going to be successful and then give that all back, right? And then think, this is not a way I want to make a living. And you can't. Who wants to make a living like that? Who wants to get up every day thinking, man, you know what, any day this could end and I'm going to totally get smoked out and be destroyed, okay? So maybe you're in that situation. When you talk about overall quitting, though, take a look at this. Rather than focus on all the evil, which is very hard to do, try to take a look at the good that you did. Look at the good things that you actually have done in your trading, the good trades that you did make. And think about those losses next. And normally when you think about those losses, you're going to realize that it comes down to maybe just one or two decisions where either you rushed something, you disobeyed a stop for some reason. You know, there's a multitude of things, but you'll find out it isn't a bunch of them normally that destroys a trader. It's a few, just a tiny few. So in my case, what really tore up my account, blew it up, 85% of the damage was done in just 2 names, 2 stocks, just 2. So out of the year and a half that I enjoyed success when I first started, of all the hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of great trades that I made, it came down to 2. 2 took me out. Now that's obviously ignorance on my part. And maybe you guys can read between the lines a little bit that you just cannot allow something like that to happen. Because one of the shifts for me into trading was that a professional trader doesn't look at things in terms of wins and losses. It's nice, but it's not about wins and losses. It's about profits. And they understand that losing is part of the game. Now, one of the topics that I did cover there was that, you know, one of the reasons that traders, like in my case, why you allow certain stocks to go away from you, or certain trades, when it's obvious that they're losers, is because of ego, and sometimes it's because you realize you're not going to get the money back. I've always kind of said this, that every trader kind of knows in the back of their mind how much money they make per trade. So let's say, for example, you average $100 winner, right? Now, once you get down to about $400 of losses, you start to realize, man, if I give up on this trade, then I'm going to need 4 winners to cover. I'm going to stick it out. Then you stick it out for a little bit longer. Then it'll go on a little, maybe it goes down to 1,000 or 2,000. You're like, man, I'm going to need 20 now. I can't give up. And then sometimes it just ends up getting worse and worse and worse. That's where those decisions start. So let's first, when we go back and we talk about quitting, there's no shame in thinking about quitting. We've all thought about quitting. The market has humbled every single person who has ever traded. I don't care what their name is. It's put a spanking on everybody. That's what it does. But you have to understand that's also part of the territory. For some of you, you're going to be damaged a lot and you're going to need to step back. It will be the best thing. Maybe you don't feel like you want to. You have that fighter spirit in you, which is great. But sometimes you just got to take a step back because you're in a little delusional, angry, really high emotional state. It's going to lead to problems. And maybe that's the best for some of you. Others don't really need to quit. You just kind of need to reevaluate what it is that you're actually doing. Because if you have the right type of process and you believe in your process, which is a highlight of what we teach in minicamp, if you really believe in that process, then you're not worried about taking losses. You know another opportunity will come by. You know that if you continue to do what you have, you'll have some tough times, but you're going to be okay at the end of the month. Everything's going to work out in the wash. Only confident traders, and how traders get confidence is confidence comes from the process. You don't have a good process, you have revenge trades, you have lacks of discipline, you don't have a plan, you don't do successful journaling, then these things are going to lead to emotional decisions. They're going to cause to snap judgments at times, and they're going to lead to lots of money. So that would be my advice. Take a look at where you are. If you're somebody who has strung together some very large losses and has dug through a lot of money, then you need to step back. You don't go any further because you got a problem and you need to fix that problem first. It's not about money, it's about survival. You got to fix that. If you're somebody that's just bouncing around, you got to really isolate where that is. And for a lot of you, you got to trade a little bit smaller at times. You got to give yourself a little bit more flexibility. Remember, the market's going to change from time to time. And what you used in July won't work in August as well, or won't work in November. It's just going to kind of fluctuate a little bit, and you got to be willing to work for that. And one thing that traders never kind of put together sometimes is there's a time when you need to lay it all on the line, and then there's times that you need to kind of pull back and reserve. Where is that right now in the market? So when you're thinking about quitting, remember, the market is always open. If you blew up your account, it'll be here 10 years from now. Get yourself together. Get yourself some education. Even if you have to, which I hate paper trading, just start looking at the market a little bit differently. Take a breather. You'll be fine. If you're somebody that's on the borderline and you feel like you're on the cusp, but you keep taking hits, you just need maybe to be in the right environment. You need that 1 or 2 small things. You're going to have to spend a lot of time with yourself to isolate where your fault is coming from. That 1 fault, that 2 fault, and you got to clean that up a little bit. Because you're close. You're real close. And if you quit now, you're quite possibly, going to give up on the best thing that's ever happened to you. So anyway, I know, guys, got to hang in there. Got to hang in there. Don't forget about the mini camp. Don't quit. Don't quit. Maybe take a step back every once in a while. Take a breather. Go on vacation, which I always trade better after vacation. Sometimes you just got to turn that off, man. It can get stressful. I got it. Anyway, thanks for watching this happy hour. Send me your questions. Make sure you attend the minicamp webinar on Tuesday. Until next week, trading well. Cheers.